Welcome to this video about coaching and CoachMaster software. My name is Bob Griffiths and I've created this series of videos to examine real coaching issues and how CoachMaster can support coaching in real-time coaching situations. CoachMaster is the world's first online tool for training and supporting coaches while they actually coach. Using CoachMaster is like having an expert by your side while you're coaching. Gives you all the skills, questions and advice an expert would use in different kinds of coaching situations. So by using CoachMaster, a coach can enhance their ability to get the best result for their client. As with my previous videos, I will be showing you the features of CoachMaster and providing a commentary on the actual coaching just as it happens. I'm not holding myself up as a perfect coach, so you will see where I felt I could do better as well as where the coaching worked. So let's do some coaching. If you've seen the previous videos of where I coached, you will see that the interface has been updated. Now you can see the questions down in the center panel. I didn't know at the start of the session exactly what sort of issue I'd be working with, so I loaded our general set of CoachMaster questions. Over on the right, you will see there's some reflective questions for the coach to think about before they start coaching. We find reflective questions before and after a session really useful to help a coach embed their learning and develop at a faster pace. By clicking on the Ask button here, you can send any question to the input panel. Once the question is in the input panel, you can edit it to make it more personal. This is a very important part of online coaching and not just a nice to have. When you can't see or hear the other person, it's vital that you amend your question technique to make it more appropriate and respond to the client. From this point on, I will be pasting in my questions and Karen's responses so you don't get bored with my typing errors. When I got this first response from Karen, I thought we were dealing with a simple time management issue. I wondered about using the facility we have in CoachMaster to change the question set in mid-session to use the process that we've designed specifically to help with time management issues. But you will notice that I didn't, and in my response to Kate, I encouraged her to explore the issue further. So I moved on to the section on success measures. These questions are designed to help the client find a good, clear goal from their preliminary comments about what they want to work on. Then, as you can see, I edit it to be closer to what Karen actually told me. Now you can see in the first part of her response a fairly clear target about arriving early and appearing calm. But in the second part of the response, there was some information about her children listening and being more attentive, which rung some alarm bells for me as we were moving off the area of time management and more into setting a goal which required other people, i.e. her children, to change. It's good coaching practice to try and define goals which are in the client's control as much as possible. So if you choose a goal which depends on other people changing, you may find it's unattainable, as you can't force anybody to make a change that they don't want to do. So in my response to Karen, I refer her back to what she said at the beginning. One of the advantages of CoachMaster is that you have a record of everything that a client has said. So I pointed out we were now looking at two areas and asked her which one she wanted to concentrate on. For the moment I was parking what she'd said about her children, but I suspected it would come back. Karen comes back to me and tells me that she wants to focus on staying calm, and I politely refer her back to the same question. This is another point about online coaching that you should endeavour to make it more like a conversation, even if the person is not in the same room with you. That sense of talking to a real person is even more important. Karen now gives me a goal which is largely based on negatives. I suggest to her how to turn the negatives into positive statements, which are generally better for goal setting, and she agrees I'm on the right lines. I now briefly review the questions about the goal being too big, which don't seem appropriate, and neither do the personal payoff questions. I do use the section on properly formed goals as we need a date for the goal to be achieved. I soften the question a little and ask Karen to be realistic, as I'm getting a sense from her answers that she's a bit exasperated by the situation. And when Karen does not give me a clear answer, I explain a bit more what I mean by realistic. She then comes back to me with some more information about her son and schools, which is not strictly relevant. And this is another interesting point about online conversations. It's very straightforward to see when a client does not give a full answer to your questions because it's written there on the page. Then of course you may have to decide if you have enough information anyway to do what you wanted. In this case, I thought I did. I then review the conversation and make the goal tab editable. This summarizes for Karen on her screen, and she can see what I mean by her goal to see if she agrees with it or wants to modify it in some way. And Karen confirms that this is a good enough goal. On Karen's side, she's just seeing the conversation and the summaries. The client does not see all the questions that the coach sees. I will now show you what the last two sections are used for. You will find these in each stage of CoachMaster. The language clarification questions are to use to clarify any words which are not clear to you as the coach. As you will see, there are sections for unclear verbs, nouns and comparatives. The last section is for the coach to use if they feel they are stuck in a session. It gives us a series of facilitative questions which the coach can use to move a session on without blaming the client and encouraging a partnership approach to getting unstuck. You might be wondering why I suggested a goal which had a comparative in it, i.e. Karen said she would be speaking more quietly. The reason is that I felt we had a clear enough target to aim for and that further questioning about what Karen actually meant would slow down the process and not contribute much. This is an example of what we mean when we say that coaching is an art and not a science. Sometimes it's okay to break the rules if you're aware of the rules and there is a genuine reason to do so. We then move on from the goal stage to the session goal stage of the process. The session goal, as we define it here at CoachMaster, is what the client wants in their hands by the end of the session. Some coaches don't bother with it, but we find it useful to clarify the client's expectations by explicitly asking about them. To check what our expectations are, I suggest a possible session goal in the same way I suggested an overall goal to see if Karen accepts it or wants to amend it. And what she does is ask for more information. I respond with an offer of advice, since I feel it's okay to include advice as part of coaching on some occasions. And we settle on a session goal which combines both a plan and advice. This is the end of the first video in the series. You'll find the second one on YouTube too, called Karen Session Part 2, where you can find out how we got on with the rest of the process.